Welcome to VCS IT Solutions Private Limited. Today we are discussing about Django architecture. Django architecture or architecture of Django. Architecture of Django. Django follow the MVT design pattern. MVT, that means a model, view, template. Model, view, template, architectural pattern. Architectural pattern. Django follows MVT architectural pattern. MVT architectural pattern. Some people we are calling as a design pattern. Design pattern. Architectural is a one type of design pattern. Basically, the design patterns are architectural patterns, structural patterns, and behavioral patterns. It is similar to MEC pattern, model view controller. Okay, model view controller. Other languages like Java Spring framework follow the MVC frame design pattern, but Django follow the MVT architectural pattern, model view template. Now observing very clearly how to communicate the web applications. How to communicate the web application, we need to require one web browser is required. This is a web browser. Web browser. Okay. How whenever we are sending the request to the server, any web application, that request is passing to this URL dispatcher. This is a URL dispatcher. URL dispatcher. The URL dispatcher take the request from the end user. Take the request from the end user. Okay, to verify our requested URL is available in the URL dispatcher or not, where we are writing all the URLs in the urls.py file. In the urls.py file. Whenever we are send the request to the server, the Django framework or Django engine take that request. That request is passing to URL dispatcher. That request is passing to URL dispatcher. Okay, URL dispatcher means that is a endpoints of our project. Okay, where we are writing this all URL in the urls.py file of the project. Okay, how to implementing these URLs by using some regular expressions. Next one, if any URL is matching to our requested URL, now one object is created. That object is nothing but a request object. If our requested URL is not matching of any URL in the URL dispatcher, simply it raise one error message, 404 web page is not available. That error we are getting. If any URL is matching, one object is created. That object we are calling as a request object. Now that request object is passing to view. View. Okay, it takes the input as a request object. Request object. Here we are enter the one URL. That URL is passing to our URL dispatcher to verify our request is matching to any one of URL in the urls.py file. One request object is created. That request object is simply passing to view. Okay, what is meant by view? A view is a Python function or Python class. It takes the request from the end user, process that request, and give back the response to the end user Okay, at the time of processing this client request, maybe view can be communicate the database. How to communicate the database? With the help of ORM concept. This is a models.py file. This is a models.py file. Okay, this is a models. What is meant by model and where we are implementing views in the views.py file. What is meant by model? A model is nothing but a one Python class. It take the request from the end user and process that request and give back the response to the end user. At the time of processing the client request, our view communicate the database. How to communicate the database? By using with the help of models. Our view directly cannot communicate the database. Okay, with the help of which one models, we are communicate the database and take the data from the database, and display that result in the browser. At the time of display in the browser, we are adding some presentation logics. How to add the presentation? By using one concept that is called templates. A template is nothing but one HTML file. The main purpose of templates to write the presentation logics. We can take any web application. That web application contains three types of logics: presentation logics, business logics, and database logics. Where we are implementing the presentation logics in the templates, where we are implementing the business logics in the views.py file, where we are implementing the database logics within the models.py file. This is a MVT design pattern: model, view, templates. Now simply observing very clearly, this is about architecture of the Django: model, view, templates. Okay, whenever the end user to send the request to the server, the Django engine take that request. That request is passing to URL dispatcher. Okay, if our requested URL is matching of any one URL pattern in the URL dispatcher, one object is created. That object is nothing but a request object. Now that request object is passing to views.py file. Every URL is associated to one view. Next one, view take the request from the end user, process that request, and give back the response to the end user. At the time of processing that client request, view can be communicate the database. How to communicate the database? With the help of models. What are the models? Models are nothing but a Python classes. The main purpose of models to implement the database logics. where we are implementing models in the models.py file of the application, in the models.py file of the application. Okay, after process the client request, the data send the result to the browser. Okay, at the time of sending the response to the end user, we are applying some presentations like as a background color or everything, some presentation part. Okay, how to implement that one? Simply by using the templates. For example, here I am open the Facebook login page, Facebook login page. This is a URL. Now this is a endpoint. Whenever we are press enter, this Facebook server take that URL and go to URL dispatcher to verify that URL. If it is URL is valid, go to view and process that request and give back the response to the end user. We will get one login page. This is a presentation part. Next, we are enter the username and password. Click on the login button. Again, it will be taken as a another URL that is called endpoint. Now verify, go to the database to verify that particular email and password is matching or not. If it is matching, then only that particular user home page we are getting. Otherwise, simply to raise one message, password invalid. For example, we are enter another URL for suppose if that URL is not available, simply to return some message 404 web page is not available. Here it is customized messages also we are printing. This is a customization. Okay, now coming to Django. Django follows this MVT design pattern. Django follows MVT design pattern. Now simply we are discussing about model. Model is represented for data layer. Model is represented for data layer. Data layer. Okay, define the structure of your databases, tables and their relationship using Python classes. How to interact with the databases in Django. Django support ORM concept, object relational mapper. By using ORM concept, we are interact with the databases in easy way instead of writing the SQL queries. By using ORM, we can handle the CRUD operations, create, update, retrieve, and delete operations. Next, coming to view is nothing but a business logic layer. Business logic layer. Business logic layer. Okay. Okay, view is nothing but like as a functions or classes. A view is nothing but a either Python function or Python class. It contains Python functions or Python classes that handle the HTTP request and return the HTTP response, retrieves the data from the model and passes it to the template for rendering. Okay, retrieve the data from the model and the data is rendering to templates. Rendering to templates. Next one, templates. This is a presentation layer. This is a presentation layer. Presentation layer. Okay, we can take any web application. That web application contains three layers: presentation layer, business logic layer, and database layer or data layer. Okay, how to implement the database related logics in the models? What is meant by model? A model is nothing but one Python class. And how to implement the business logics by using views? A view is a Python function or Python class. And the presentation layer. Okay, how to implement the presentation logic by using templates. Okay, user to define the structure and the layout of the user interface. Okay, here we are using some languages. That language is called Django template language, DTL. DTL. Next, coming to URL dispatcher. Okay, maps URLs to corresponding views, mapping the URLs to corresponding views. Okay, this is about Django architecture. Django architecture.